Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore Iowa stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we're going to meet the amazing Lin Bruce, who on her 60th birthday changed her life and dreams when she signed on for her first transcontinental bicycle tour. She rides, writes a unique brand of prose, and motivates with the rallying cry of, "Yes, I think I can." Welcome to the show, and let's meet the amazing Lin Bruce. Hello, Lin.
Hello, Peter, and thank you very much for that. What I want to say right away is that I'm really a very ordinary person doing extraordinary things. I am not particularly athletic, and that's important for you to know too, because my ordinariness, I hope, lets people know that you don't have to be a super athlete to take on some sort of wonderful challenge, some sort of something that will expand your life. And when I talk about my bike trips, they are a metaphor for expanding your life. My expansion has come through biking, but there's lots of ways to expand. The not particularly athletic, when I was on a trip and one of my sisters came to pick me up, the directors of the trip said, "Oh, what do you think of your sister doing this long bike ride?" And Karen said, "Well, frankly, we're amazed. She never did anything when she was younger." So that also tells you you can change.
Yeah, let us
I
get started. I'd like to hear the story.
a cross-country cyclist now and a motivational speaker, and I was not always either one of those. I started riding when I was 60, and when I was about 75, I started doing talks. So that is another example that, yes, you can take it on at any age. I got started doing these rides because as I was approaching my 60th birthday, I started thinking, oh my gosh, 60 is going to be so old at that time. Now I'm 81 and I have a very different take on being 60. But at that time, I thought it was old. And I thought my life was absolutely without possibility. I was feeling so colorless, so beige that I was afraid I was going to disappear into the woodwork. Didn't make any sense. I live in a town that have lots of friends. Our 4 children were off in the world living their own lives. I had a very successful massage therapy business. I was in a good marriage. When Bob and I were about 40, we had a terrible, horrific, edge of divorce breakup. We were able to come back together and heal and learn how to be in a marriage that has worked. So there was no reason that I was feeling so absolutely colorless, but I was. So I needed to do something. I figured that my birthday would be some kind of celebration, not a party, some sort of adventure or challenge, and something that was mine, that depended on me and my doing, not on my husband or my kids or anything like that. I saw a little ad. I didn't know what this was going to be. I saw a little ad. It was from a company called Woman Tours. I'd never heard of them either. They are a company that exists. They set up bike trips for women. They're really, really good, really good. It's a win-win. So it said, well, I see, I'm going to back up a little bit and tell you my birthday is in March. This ad said, cross-country bicycle trip, women over 50, riding from California to Florida, starting on March 13th. March 13th is my birthday. So you see, this company was already planning my birthday party. So I signed up, I paid my money, and you've probably had this experience too sometime when you've done something new, Peter, that when you sign on for something new or you commit to something you don't know, fear rushes in. And I want to say, expect that fear, but don't let it stop you. No, keep right on. Recommit every day. That's one of the things I've learned. You have to recommit all the time. So I had signed up for this trip. I didn't tell very many people. One friend, I told my family. I told two of our sons when they were together. I said, I've decided that for my 60th birthday, I'm going to ride my bicycle from California to Florida. And one of the men said, oh, do you have any idea how far that is? The other man said, if you ride even a third of that, Mom, you'll have done a good job. Oh my goodness, that was a gauntlet for me. Third, I was going to ride the whole thing if I possibly could. So I was getting ready for this ride. I was ready to go. I'm from Minnesota. I'd signed up in October, so most of my training was in the basement on a stationary bike. I got a mailing from the company. One of the things they told me was what I was supposed to do to get ready, where I was supposed to be when, what I was supposed to bring, and that I needed bike clothing. I didn't want to buy bike clothing. I wanted this trip to be about the adventure and not the trappings. Besides, you know those bike shorts? They are so tight. They're kind of like black sausages. I didn't want to have to wear those. Besides, sometimes they look like they have a diaper in them. I know the padding is to sit on, but I didn't want any of that. So I got very creative. I took a pair of sweatpants and I cut off the legs. I sewed the extra fabric in the crotch. I made my own bike shorts, diaper shorts. Fortunately, somebody said to me, you may not understand this, Lynn, but sports-specific clothing is designed for a reason, and you'll be much more comfortable. Your trip will be much more efficient if you buy those shorts. And so I did, and that was true. It was much more efficient. This trip started in San Diego. I got dropped off there, and I had ramped up all these months, but when I got dropped off, I cried.
I hate to interrupt you right at the tears, but we need to take a short break, and we come back. We really want to hear the story of how you took your first transcontinental bike trip at 60 years of age. We'll see you all after the break. You don't want to miss this.
While a lot is changing in our world, at Mediacom, our focus remains the same, making sure you have the fastest, most reliable connection possible. During this critical time, we know your needs are changing. You may be working or learning from home, relying on telemedicine, or finding new ways to keep everyone entertained. If you need more speed, call or go online, and Mediacom will double your speed immediately for as low as $10 more a month for 1 year.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're talking about an amazing journey into life after 60 and how it transformed our guest, Lin Bruce. Lin, you started the story. You got dropped off practically on your birthday on the West Coast, 60 years old. Your entire family is sort of unbelievable. I mean, they just have no idea what's going on. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Thanks. I did get dropped off, and the first thing I did was cry because I was scared. I didn't know anybody. I'd never done anything like this before, but I was there and I was going to go anyway. I met the other women. There were 27 of us, all over 50. None of us knew each other a bit. None of us had done this kind of trip. Our leaders told us on orientation night, this journey will change your life. And I don't know, I think we all rolled our eyes, didn't laugh out loud, but thought, right, right. And that became the joke on the trip. Did your life change? Did your life change? We got on our way, we went out of San Diego, and out of San Diego, maybe you've been there and you know that very soon, now we're going east, you're into foothills, and then very soon you're into mountains. And we were working hard, I was thinking, this is not the way I want to celebrate my birthday. Why didn't I just sign up for a cruise for my 60th birthday? But here I was on a bicycle and sweating and making my way up this mountain, and there was a steep slope on my side of the road. There was a ravine, and I desperately needed to pee. How do you squat on a steep slope? Do I look down, even though I'm a little afraid of heights? Or do I face upward with my large center of gravity down? Well, I did figure it out. And I did learn a lot on those trips. Some of it was pretty personal. A lot of it was about how you are part of a group working hard, working strong. Each of us were very, very proud of. At the end of the day, you know, it wasn't fun during the day all the time because it was hard work. But at the end of the day, wherever you were going to be, the satisfaction was a big, big factor. One time we were in some southern state, and a woman, we were stopping for ice cream. There were only about 4 of us. A woman came up to said, "What are y'all doing here?" And we said, "Oh, we're riding our bicycles all the way across the United States." And she said, "Oh, you poor dears." she just didn't get it, that we were having a time that somehow fed our souls. That sounds a little extreme, but you know what? It does. It's a sense of satisfaction. It's a sense that you're capable and you're strong and you can manage and you can be in the world and you're going to be okay because look, I'm covering all these miles on my bicycle and I'm over 60 years old and all these other people are, not all of them are that age, but we're all doing this. And that is just an incredible thing to experience. That makes me happy. Every time I ride, I am just so grateful for that. I'm looking at notes here, Peter.
How long did that journey take you on that first trip across country?
60 days, it turned out. So there was one day for each year being celebrated. We left on my birthday, March 13th, and we got to St. Augustine, Florida on sometime May. I believe it was in May. I'd like to tell you about our arrival in St. Augustine. We had gone all the way across the country and we got into St. Augustine, and the company had arranged for the city police to escort us to the beach. So here came the patrol cars, you know, there sirens going a little bit. And when we got to the beach, many people had family who were close enough who could join us there and celebrate the arrival. And so somebody had planted black and white flags all along the way, you know, so we had this avenue of entrance. And we got in there and we got there and got off our bikes and put our feet in the water and put our tires in the water. And I thought to myself, this has been a great journey. I haven't changed a bit. And really that's what I thought. That about 2 years later, and I had done another bicycle trip by that time, another long one. Those are my faves. I had ridden from coast of Virginia to the coast of Oregon, and that was 80 days. And I talked to my son and I said, "Have I changed any since I started doing these rides?" And Rob thought, and he said, You have a greater sense of possibility.
You know, that's a wonderful spot to take a short break and come back and discuss that sort of transformational sense of possibility that I know you talk about with great energy. You don't want to miss this. We'll see you all after the break.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Right now, millions of people and billions of devices are connected to the internet. Homes, businesses, hospitals, schools. The security and reliability of these connections are more important than ever. That's why at Mediacom, we've built a network to protect them. A network that sees threats, fixes problems before they occur, and keeps you going with 99.99% network reliability.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're talking about transforming your inner and outer sense of possibility with Lin Bruce, the founder of Yes, I Think I Can. Welcome back, Lin.
Thank you. Yes, so my sense of possibility, Rob identified that you have a greater sense of possibility, Mom. And that's true. And that expanded sense of possibility has really expanded my life. You know, I often wish that it made me fearless, but that isn't the case. I still get scared. But I do know that possibilities exist and that I can get help and I can take them on. I can take them on. One of the things I want to tell you that I'm from Wyoming. I grew up in Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I have ridden my bicycle to my 50th and my 60th high school reunions, and that's a journey of about 700 miles. I was the only rider. My husband was my SAG car. SAG, you know, stands for support and gear. And that was great. It was such a gift that he gave me. So I have gotten to ride there. And I've gotten to be in the Wyoming State Ride 3 times. So that's a little ride, according to state rides. It only has 350 people. Well, you know, Ragbri has way over 20,000. But this was the biggest one I'd ever been in. But I figured I knew how to do that. I knew how to ride a bike and do most of the things. But I didn't anticipate, I hadn't experienced, was long lines for the Biffy. And you know, in the Midwest, there might be a cornfield. In some states, there are little towns every once in a while, but not in Wyoming. Towns are a long ways apart. The sight lines across the prairie, too visible. So I learned to just stay in the line. I learned that. One year, I got to be a speaker at one evening, and I talked about starting to ride at 60. That I was scared, that I didn't know anybody, that I cried, and I went anyway. The next day I was riding, and a cyclist came by and made a big U-turn and said, "Are you that lady who talked?" "Yeah, I want to tell you what happened. I called my son last night. He's 12. He's in Denver. He's supposed to go to camp today, and he told me he's not going." He started to cry. He's not going. He's too scared. He doesn't know anybody. She told her son, "I heard this lady, 60 years old, started riding the first time then. She was scared. She cried. She didn't know anybody. She went anyway." Little boy hung up. Next day, lady came along again. "I want to tell you what happened. I called my son last night. He was at camp. He said, I figured if that lady was 60 years old and she cried and she didn't know anybody and she was scared and she went anyway, I could go to camp. And that is the great thing about getting to talk about what I do, that people can tell me their stories. They can go away thinking, if she can take that on at her age, if she can still be biking at 80 years old and doing trips, I can follow my journey. I can take on my big adventure.
Now, you actually talk and reach out to a lot of people, and you found a unique way to sort of chronicle your journeys through what I call poetry, a prose. I think it's the greatest. Do you have any of that you can share with us?
Well, yeah, I do. Recently I've been writing, you know what, I'm sorry, here we go. Recently I've been writing limericks, and I'm just going to tell you about the limericks right now because they're very much at hand here. Here's one. Though miles of long biking are tiring, I often can find them inspiring. The work that I do reminds me it's true adventure is effort requiring. And here's another one. We were overnight in Winter, South Dakota, because I was riding and Bob was my sag. We are staying tonight in winter. We'll wash out our clothes and eat dinner. We saw DQ. You know what we'll do. We'll end up much cleaner, not thinner.
Oh, I think those are great. And you share these nightly when you're on your long rides with your audience, with people that follow your blog.
Yeah, I do. And it's such a privilege. It's just such a privilege to get to do that. Here. Oh, there we go. I hope that this is working. Riding lifted my spirits this morning. It had been hard to push myself out the door. Why is it that even when we know things that give zest to life, we stall? I have to recommit and recommit to doing what keeps my outlook looking up. This time of many limitations, feeling like losses, encounters, spontaneous or planned, aren't happening, pull me into a hole of grief. Some miles on my bike, pedaling and noticing the effort of climbing hills, gliding flat trails reminds me I'm glad to be alive. It's worth the bother. Remember to commit and recommit to those things that keep you looking up.
We'll take a short break. We'd like to ask you to share some final comments and things with our audience, and maybe a few more of your limericks. We'll see you all after break. You don't want to miss this. This is a chance to hear a little bit more of this amazing Lin Bruce. See you after the break.
I don't know how we would have survived without Mediacom. We have 5 kids, my wife and I, and we have Mediacom for all of our internet and all of our cable services. So I'm stuck in my house, but at the same time, I'm connected to people all over the world, and it's been fantastic.
Thanks to Mediacom, I've had reliable internet to continue to work business as usual, that I can continue to provide for myself and my family.
Right now, we all feel like the world is in a standstill. The internet has played a huge role in allowing us to stay connected to our jobs and the kids' schooling online and finding fun and creative ways to stay connected with the ones that we love. We couldn't do it without Mediacom.
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we're taking a moment to talk with the amazing Lin Bruce about life, dreams, and the possibility of finding inspiration at any age. Let's hear what words of advice Lin has for us.
Words of advice. Now that sounds pretty heavy. You know, I try not to give advice. I think I am an example, and I hope that people take the example. When I started thinking back on bike trips that I've taken and what has helped me get through, I realize I have 5 points, and I have a card here, which at some point you can see, but I'm just going to read them. Make a commitment. Now that's critical. You have to decide you're going to do it, and get help. Most of us never learned how to ask for help, or we were diminished if we did ask for help. But that, you know, asking for help can get you through. Accepting the help that's offered, that's a big one. And find humor in the hard stuff. Humor in the hard stuff, that lets you giggle your way through some stuff that can be just pretty awful. And connect with others. What a critical thing that is always, and especially at this time when we are shut down and things we had hoped to be doing aren't going to happen. Connect with others about whatever it is that matters to you, because that can keep you all going. It can keep you out of feeling such grief and such despair over the changes that have happened now for us. And stick with your commitment. You know, you have to recommit every day. My bike trips always teach me this. Each one is, I relearn, it is a one day at a time thing. It's a one pedal stroke at a time thing. And that persistence with that pedaling, with that whatever it is you're doing, whether it's writing your memoirs or doing your genealogy, whatever it is, that persistence can get there. So keep it up. Keep it up. You'll get there. I know you can. I know that, yes, you can. We can. And I applaud you in your efforts. Have a good time riding your metaphorical bicycle. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lin. And thank you all for joining us today. You can go to our website, ahealthyiowa.org, for more information. Keep an eye on Mediacom MC22 for our next episode of Surviving Bad, where we explore Iowa's stories of survival, hope, and inspiration on Mediacom MC22, your local programming leader.